Hey everyone, for today's video, we're going to explore 15 of the most mysterious ancient structures. Each of these structures showcases the cultural significance of the people who built them. So, let's start with number 15, Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu has captured the imaginations and awe of historians and the general public alike for decades. Now, this structure is perched high in the Andes Mountains in Peru, and it showcased the sophisticated engineering of the famous Inca Empire. Machu Picchu was discovered in 1911 by American historian and explorer Hiram Bingham, and it was built in the 15th century. The mystery behind Machu Picchu has to do with its construction. Now, the site features a complex network of terraced stone structures and water management systems, all of which are intricately built. The stones of the structures were cut and shaped to fit together without the use of mortar, and the sheer precision of the stone blocks used continues to baffle historians. Furthermore, given the site's location, the effort required to transport the materials to the site is amazing in and of itself. Machu Picchu is located puzzled historians for centuries. As well as they're widely recognized, there's a lot we still don't know about these structures. The statues are found on Easter Island, and Easter Island is one of the most remote inhabited places on Earth, and it was first recorded by Europeans in about 1722. The statues themselves, called moai, were carved by the Rapa Nui people between about 1400 and 1650 CE. Now, they range from a few feet tall to over 30 feet tall, and some weigh upwards of 80 tons. But the question is, how did they get there? Well, the method of transporting these statues from the quarry to their final locations, some as far as 11 miles, is a significant mystery. Some theories center around the use of wooden sledges or rollers, while others focus on a walking technique where the statues were rocked upright using ropes. But the truth is, we really don't know. Just as we really don't know the purpose behind the moai statues, it's believed by some they were built to honor ancestors and important leaders. The statues are positioned to face inland, so it's sort of like protectors or 1980s, and since its discovery, this ancient structure has sparked some pretty fierce debate in the scientific community. Geologists and visitors alike have been continued to be intrigued by this monument because no one knows for sure what it is, how it was built, and why it's there. The Yonaguni Monument is basically a series of colossal rock formations. Now, it's not uncommon to find rock formations in the bottom of the ocean, but these aren't your typical rock formations. This structure has features that look an awful lot like terraces and steps with pillars, so some people argue the structure must be man-made. These formations, rising from the ocean floor with the tallest reaching heights of up to 82 feet and stretching over 490 feet in length, they have precision and symmetry. Some of these features suggest that they weren't just haphazardly formed by nature. Some historians believe that it was in fact shaped over millennia by the forces of erosion, tectonic activity, and underwater currents, so it's completely natural. But there's a lot of straight edges and right angles. Within the site are several distinct groups of these megaliths. The most famous are the alignments of Carnac, the Menek alignment, the Camario alignment, and the Kurliskan alignments. Now, each of these alignments features rows of upright stones, with some as tall as 13 feet. So what is this crazy slew of arranged stones? Well, it might just have been some sort of burial marker site like an ancient cemetery. Or it might have been some sort of astronomical site. Or it even could have been something we don't understand, and we're way off base with the other two guesses. Because the fact is, no matter how much we study the Carnac stones, we just don't know for sure what it was. Other guesses include things like trade route markers or boundary markers or even some sort of navigational aid. The stones might have also been placed there as a symbol of power or prestige. Number 11. The Nazca Lines. The Nazca Lines. If you haven't seen these before, you're in for a treat, because the Nazca Lines are pretty cool looking. They're vast geoglyphs that have been etched into the desert plains of southern Peru. They depict a whole slew of things, some sort of astronomical function. Another theory, though, suggests that they were part of some ritual, perhaps as an offering to deities associated with water or fertility. And for those who like a little conspiracy theory with their ancient structures, a more controversial theory suggests that they were created for extraterrestrial visitors, aka aliens. Well, in any case, no one knows for sure why the lines were created, and they're still being studied today. There are efforts to preserve them too, which is challenging, given things like climate change, tourism, and even urban development. Hopefully, though, we'll find a way to preserve them, but until then, the race is on to find out what these lines really mean, before they potentially are lost forever. Number 10. The Longyou Caves. Oddly enough, the Longyou Caves weren't discovered until 1992, which is remarkable because they're more than 2,000 years old. The caves are located in a village in Zhejiang province in China, and since their discovery, they've sparked more than their fair share of debate and speculation. The caves are a serious hand using primitive tools like hammers, chisel, and wooden wedges. Though the precision of the craftsmanship is evident in the caves, it's truly remarkable, especially given the sheer size of the site. The largest cavern measures over 98 feet in height, and it's got pillars that stretch up to 33 feet high. But the caves themselves extend for thousands of feet underground, connected by a network of passageways and chambers. So who built them? Well, supernatural beings maybe, or ancient rulers with magical powers? At least that's who, according to local folklore, myths, and legends, have it. Well, however, archaeological evidence suggests that they were most likely created by human hands through a combination of pecking, pounding, and chipping away. But that sandstone bedrock isn't a joke, and the sheer effort it would take to have created this ancient structure is just mind-boggling. Perhaps we'll figure out more about these caves in the future, but for now, they do remain a source of fascination, wonder, and widespread speculation. Number 9. The Cahokia Mounds. The Cahokia Mounds were once an ancient spread out across a vast region, totaling roughly 6 square miles. In its heyday, it's estimated that between 10 to 20,000 people called this place home, so it would have been one of the most populated areas in North America at that time. The largest of the mounds is known as Monk's Mound. It's over 100 feet high and covers 14 acres. Monk's Mound was likely the central hub of the city, with a large plaza at its summit that might have been used for public gatherings, rituals, and ceremonies. However, both the purpose and the people who built it are still subject of debate. Was it a religious center, a political capital, an economic hub, or even a pilgrimage destination? No one knows for sure. Some researchers believe it had been a multi-ethnic center with people from diverse backgrounds come to trade and worship together, while others believe it was a city of political prowess. Well, in any case, it is designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and new discoveries are made and technologies improve. We may unlock the secrets of this ancient city one day and shed some light on the mysteries of North America's prehistoric past. But until then, the purpose of this ancient city remains pretty elusive. Joints. That means that the people who built it had an understanding of architecture and an unrivaled level of engineering skills. But the real mystery is how the massive stones got to the site. How were they quarried and then transported? The nearest quarry for the stones is over 6 miles away, and it's not likely ancient people had trains to carry these things. So how do they do it? It was far more advanced than other civilizations at the time, and of course, what was the site used for? Like all mysterious ancient structures, there are many theories surrounding this place. But they are only theories. Was it a religious or ceremonial center? Was it a royal palace, an ancient observatory, or some sort of administrative complex? And finally, who actually built it? Research is ongoing, as are debates and theories about Pumapunku, and until we know more, it remains a mysterious part of Bolivia's prehistoric past. Moving on to number 7, the Great Serpent Mound. In the unassuming area of Adams County, Ohio, 1000 CE, although the exact date of its creation remains uncertain. In fact, we don't even really know for certain who actually built it. It could have been the Adena culture, or it could have been the Fort Ancient culture. And since the time frame fits both, and both were known for their monumental earthworks, this most striking feature and the most confusing is the Great Serpent Mound, its unique shape and design. The mound was aligned with astronomical phenomena, though. The head and coils of the serpent correspond to the solstices and equinoxes, so it may have been used as a ceremonial or ritualistic site. Well, in any case, despite what it may or may not have been used for, one thing remains inarguable. The Great Serpent Mound looks really cool from aerial shots, so it may be its purpose was merely decorative. Number 6, the Plain of Jars. The Plain of Jars doesn't really feature jars, at least not in the sense of modern jars. But the site is ancient, so maybe this is what jars looked like in ancient times. This area is in Laos, and it's the large stone structures that are scattered across the plains that are the real head-scratcher. There are thousands of them, these stone jars, in theory. Perhaps the jars were used as funeral urns to hold the remains of the deceased, or as markers for burials, or some sort of ritualistic burial thing that we don't fully understand. Well, in any case, it's believed they were brought over from nearby quarries using sledges, rollers, and plain old manpower, and that they were carved using sophisticated tools, but as it stands, that's about all we've got when it comes to information about this bizarre and ancient Plain of Jars. Number 5, the Stone Spheres of Costa Rica. Also known as the Diquis Spheres, the stone spheres of Costa Rica are a stunning sight. They're also a bit of a mystery. The stone spheres caught international attention in the 1930s when they were discovered by workers who were clearing the land for a banana plantation. They were made from a wide assortment of rocks, including gabbro and limestone, and since they're all circular, a lot of archaeologists and historians believe they were intentionally crafted by man. But who would have been a difficult task given primitive tools available to the ancient inhabitants of Costa Rica? But one of the most intriguing aspects is their sheer number and distribution across the landscape. They're found in clusters or lines, often near important archaeological sites to damage and/or theft. Well, efforts have been made to preserve and protect these stone spheres of Costa Rica, especially since they're still being studied. Number 4. Gobekli Tepe. Gobekli Tepe. It was discovered in the mid-20th century, but it actually wasn't thoroughly excavated until the 1990s. It's an ancient complex, and its importance really cannot be overstated. It's completely transformed our modern understanding of prehistoric societies. But even so, there are still a lot of questions that remain unanswered about this ancient structure. The first thing to know is that it's old, really old. It dates to around 9600 BCE, so it predates Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids by several millennia. It is the oldest known monumental structure created by humans. It was first identified in 1963 during a survey conducted by Istanbul University and the University of Chicago. However, it wasn't until German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt began excavating the site in 1994 that its real significance came front and center. During the excavation, it was revealed that the site was a complex of massive stone pillars, almost that may have held religious significance. A lot of historians speculate that the site might have been some sort of ceremonial center where people came from all over to participate in rituals and feasts. There's a lot of animal bones at the site, including gazelle, boar, and wild cattle, which support the idea the site was used for feasts. However, this is, of course, just speculation. No one knows for sure why the site was filled. And even more intriguing is that the site was intentionally backfilled and abandoned around 8000 BCE for reasons that remain unclear. So while Gobekli Tepe changes some of our previous ideas about people from the past, it forces us to rethink some things we thought we knew. It also raises a lot of questions that remain unanswered. Number 3. The Hypogeum of Hal-Saflieni. Hypogeum are fascinating ancient structures in their own right, but when it comes to mysterious ones, no one can hold a candle to the Hypogeum of Hal-Saflieni. The structure is located in Malta, and it dates back to around 4000 BCE. This underground complex is really arguing that it was a burial site. How do you argue with thousands of human remains? But there are some strange things that have been found in this place, and those things have led to some historians questioning the real function of the structure. Maybe it was used for more than just a burial site. For example, the Oracle Room, which is a bit puzzling, features some really advanced acoustics, and no one knows for sure what the real purpose of the room was, though. There's also a strange ochre-painted wall, which seems a little bit out of place. Some believe the wall, complete with carvings, could point towards spiritual remains, but it could also point to something else entirely. The room may have had a function past our current understanding. But finally, there's the elongated skulls. Yep, elongated skulls found with other human remains, and how these skulls were created, maybe cranial deformation, and why they were created remains a mystery. So, all in, yeah, there are thousands of human remains, so it was some sort of burial site, but it very well could have served as something else, and what exactly that was, well, the verdict is still out on that. Stonehenge was built by the Druids. However, we do get smarter with time, and that theory has since been debunked. So, what makes this place so mysterious? One of the primary reasons surrounding Stonehenge is its construction. Its monuments consist of two main types of stones, the larger sarsen stones and the smaller blue stones. The sarsen stones weigh up to 25 tons each, and it's believed they were brought in from the Marlborough Downs, which is about 20 miles to the north. That's a feat in and of itself, but the blue stones, which weigh up to 4 tons each, were sourced probably from a local hill in Wales, which is over 150 miles away. So the logistics of transporting these massive stones that far without any sort of modern technology is kind of baffling, to say the least. The monuments are aligned with the solstice, particularly the sunrise on the summer solstice and the sunset on the winter solstice. This alignment suggests that Stonehenge may have been used as an astronomical observatory, allowing the builders to track movement of the sun and the changing seasons. The site is commonly believed to have served a religious or ceremonial function, but its exact role in the lives of its builders remain unclear. Others suggest it was a place of healing, and others still, well, they think it was built by aliens for reasons unknown. And while some's got so many mysteries, and it's a bit overwhelming, but the most famous ones regarding its construction. How did they build it? Its purposes, there are some pretty mysterious rooms, and the advanced knowledge of its builders. How did they know to do what they did? Well, the pyramid was once the tallest man-made structure, and it stayed that way for over 3,800 years. It consists of about 2.3 million blocks of limestone and granite, some weighing up to 80 tons. But no matter the theory, though, every single one of them would have included a massive output of manual labor. Now, the pyramid's alignment with the cardinal points is almost perfect, with a margin of error of just a fraction of a degree. Its base is a near-perfect square with less than a 0.05% deviation, so you better believe those ancient Egyptians had a pretty good understanding of astronomy and geometry. As for the inside, the pyramid's interior features chambers and passages like the King's Chamber, Queen's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery. But the exact purposes of these chambers are still debated. The King's Chamber, a central granite chamber, houses a sarcophagus, but its purpose, whether burial, symbolic, or astronomical, does remain uncertain. And then there's the Grand Gallery with its impressive passageway with corbelled walls and a steep incline. How this was built is another focal point of mystery. The mainstream view holds that the pyramids served as